Okay, welcome back to the Forensics Unplugged channel, guys. I thought I'd do a video on the E36, very informal stuff, and what's going on with it and all that. So just a while ago, someone bumped into the back of it, didn't they? And I had to get the rear bumper and that panel repainted, and that's all been done by the same people that did the paint. And yeah, they've done a great job. So that's yeah, I've forgotten about that now, which is fantastic. The car got a good polish and it's all sealed and protected. Like I mentioned in the other video, it's not clean at the moment, but it's clean enough. It doesn't need washing, so stop washing it. Just leave it. When it gets really dirty, clean it. I had the car down to BMR in Turner's Hill. I drive it all the way up there for an MOT. It's like 2.5 hour round trip, but I just like them to do the MOT. They know these cars, and like, I'd rather they go through it and tell me everything that's wrong with it, and just like proper MOT. You know, they're not looking for faults, but I'm looking to know what they think needs doing with it to pass that MOT. And it passed, but it's got a couple of advisories, and it's things that I know about as well, which is great. There's some vibration in the car, and it's had it for a while, and the front brake discs were warped and low and ancient. So we replaced the discs and pads on the front. The rears, I think, are fine, but there is still some vibration there, and the MOT picked up what we already knew. You know, that the tyres, the front wheels have got a slight buckle on them, and there's a bit of play in the stock steering rack. I think the play in the steering rack is less of an issue, and I think what I'm experiencing is the buckling vibration. Yeah, it's a little bit more under retardation. Braking, you tend to notice it more when that weight transfers to the front, so you would almost think that it was the brake disc, but it isn't. It is those wheels. So what I'm going to do is try and get these alloy wheels straightened out so that they're round rather than egg-shaped. It's a very slight buckle. I could actually try swapping. I think it's a square setup, so I could swap the fronts for the rears. There's an idea, but I bet my bottom dollar they've probably got slight buckling in them as well. Yeah, interesting actually. I'm just suddenly realising why. I think probably when I refurbed the alloys, because they're all square setup, we may have ended up with some of putting the ones that were on the rear maybe on the front or whatever, a mismatch. So there might be one that's more buckled than the others. But either way, moving it to the back is just really hiding the problem a little bit. That's not good. So I think what I should do is get all 4 alloys taken off the car to somewhere that can roll them over, you know, spin them up and unbuckle them so they're nice and round. I did, as a precaution, buy 4 new, these are called hub-centric spacers. I am just concerned that the original so these are used for these style 5s, are they, RC90 BBS alloys, because the alloy wheel, when it sits on the car, it's too big for the hub fitment. So you have these little hub-centric spacers, which are, I can't remember the size actually, but it's important because you guys can help me with all of this. Where did I put the little thing? Oh geez, hold on a second. This is important. You need to get more organised, John. Where have I put that? Oh, there it is, there it is. So there's the size of the hub-centric spacers, which I believe are correct for this car. Although somewhere I read it was 70, it went down to 71.54, not 74.6, but that's got to be close enough, isn't it? Couldn't find that precise size. The hub-centric spacers that are in them have been in there for donkey's years, probably more than a decade, and some of them are like cracked, and I was worried that if a crack in a hub-centric spacer could cause vibration as well, and they're only like a tenner. So I'll change the hub-centric spacers around, because perhaps I didn't even know about these hub-centric spacers. I didn't even know what they were. I was like, what the hell is this thing? If they're not there, they may cause vibration as well, so I just want to rule those out proactively. So The problem with this car is it gets a bit neglected because I've got so many things to fix on the bloody Porsche. Bloody Porsches. It's like, it is hard work. It's hard work. Only because of the fact I have a lifestyle that revolves around these cars would I do this. If I had a normal 9 to 5 running two 25-year-old plus cars, no, I wouldn't do it. Not because I don't enjoy it, but because it's never ending. And anyone that's done it will know what I mean. Never ending. That being said, the E36 is a fantastic example of a solid car that is like ancient. Let's just zoom that out. It's a very old car, isn't it? By, 98, so it's 27 years old. For its age, it's phenomenal. And most of the problems I've got are really to do with these aftermarket additions with these, well, they're mostly to do with the rubbish roads. You drive around the roads, you've got any sort of performance alloys on there, and with narrower profile tyres, your alloys just get buckled. Like I said, I've got a bit of vibration on the 996, nowhere near as bad, because probably one of the alloys is just taking a thump. And it's not the track, it's the road. The roads are absolutely shot to pieces, third world, dust tracks are better than our British roads. It's just terrible, isn't it? Not telling you anything you don't already know there. So yeah, my main jobs to do there are get those hub-centric spacers installed, which take 5 minutes. Do it when I get the front alloys and rear alloys as well, front and rear, get them unbuckled, and then look to possibly, if after I've done all the alloys, if it's running completely smooth with no vibration, then the slight play in the steering rack is probably a bit of a red herring, although it is there. But it's an old steering rack, it works fine. But the option is to put one of those purple tags, is it purple speed? I can't remember what they're called. Racks in, which are just go straight in, and it will be a slightly quicker rack. It is a slow rack on there. I'm half tempted to put an aftermarket steering wheel in this car, because that big old tractor steering wheel, it's like driving a giant truck. But then you lose that OEM look in the cockpit. And when I got this car, this cockpit was tired, and the headliner was sagging, the aftermarket Stezza, they were worn out steering wheel, worn out handbrake, lots of things. And we went through the car, all the door card pockets all smashed to bits. All the leather had like tyres was being stored. It was dry storage with a set of tyres in the back, which isn't good. And it put tyre marks all in the leather and holes in the leather, and this whole interior was battered. And that, though, is why I bought it. Because I bought this as a project, and every job we've done on it, we do videos on, and now the interior looks fantastic. These seats are still wearing, the underpinning leather in these seats is gone. It's going back to like worn out blotting paper or tissue paper, because the leather is so degraded. Ultimately, these will need to be reupholstered, but they look fine for the time being from that refresh we did with the paint. The steering wheel's been replaced. We've got a new gear knob in there, and it's just got the original kind of stereo there, and the sound system works great. Everything in this car works. The aircon could, that should go on the list really. The aircon doesn't blow cold, and that is probably just needs regassing. Touch wood. Yeah, which is something I should get done. Let's add that to the list. Get all these jobs done, because if you don't, aircon. What am I writing E36 again? Just write aircon. Dumbass. If you don't keep on top of all this stuff, you blink and 2 years have gone, and you've got another list of things that are broken, and as well as broken, you've got more maintenance jobs that are probably going to need doing at some point. So you have to be like fixing things proactively, even though you can live with them. If you don't fix them proactively and you just reactively fixing things or leaving things, it gets worse and more things break. And before you know it, you start getting a bit upset with the car. So that's part of a modern classic ownership thing, is keeping on top of everything as best you can. That seal's poking out there. It's probably installation issue. Yeah. Why is it? It just must be sitting a bit higher there, or maybe a little bit of screen adjustment so that actually that seal sits over all of that glass, so it seals up better. Whereas the water gets underneath this and gets onto those adhesive line strips. How do I know? Because I've done it. It's another job we've done. I've done that job twice. Yeah, E36, I mentioned I was thinking about selling it because of lack of use and concern about owning a car that's in really nice condition. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But like the reality is, and it's not not me making this up in my head. It's just, it is a war zone out there with traffic and like going out on the roads. And other drivers, it's mainly on the road, the condition of the roads, getting hit by other cars, but the biggest risk is getting doors smashed into your car. That's the biggest risk of damage, and any damage to paintwork, even if it's like even if it just puts a dink in and punches the paintwork, well, you've got to get that taken out. You've got to have it, maybe a bit of filler, prepped, filler, primered, painted, and then you've got the problem that really you've got to paint a certain amount, and then you've really got to clear edge to edge. So even a little chip on the side of the car, to have it properly, so you haven't got some like smart repair or something, so that you don't know you've had the repair, is expensive work. And the reality is, if I use this car every day, within 2 to 4 weeks, there's a good chance that there'll be damage that needs quite expensive paintwork repair. I mitigate that by not using it and just taking, Porsche. If someone puts a door into it or something happens, then I just fix it. Or just leave it. It's a great thing. We've got that carbon fibre. I've just bonnet going on the back of it. So that's where I am with this. Once I get those jobs done back with the E36, I'm back on track with that particular car, not on the circuit. I mean, I'm back on track with it, making sure I'm doing the good thing as an owner of it and just maintaining it. The thing is probably underneath the car, there'll be some crusty old stuff there, like anti-roll bars will be crusty and little brackets and all that. Crusty under there. They just are. Trailing arms, bit crusty, rear subframe, just crusty, not rusty, just crusty. Ultimately, where do you stop? You can take it in, have a full underbody restoration and get the subframe repainted, which is probably on the list, get the diff all done, and all that, but it's all money. And it's not a case of I've fallen out of love with this car. I love this car. I think it's just such a nice car that, there's no reason why there shouldn't be more of these around on the road. But the thing is, people don't want to spend the money, or might not have the money, to maintain older cars. So instead, they just think, I just don't want to hassle. If you're not into cars, and you go and buy a modern car, and it's kind of like, it's all fresh and you don't have any of those problems. But the modern cars are really built nowadays to get you to 100,000 miles with a nice interval of things to do to get you there, on service intervals to make money on. And then once they realise once they're north of 100,000, they've lost all their value. Mainly once it gets to 6 or 7 years old and north of 100,000, no one wants them in the UK. It's not the same abroad. So car manufacturers, I think, are building cars just really to give you all the tech you want and give you a car that's affordable relatively to get you to 100,000 miles, or maybe 150,000, because it loses all its value. This car is 27 years old, it's done 150,000, and it should be good for another 150,000. And it probably looks better than most modern cars on the road. And I'm not, for you environmentally eco warriors, if we all did that, we wouldn't have to just keep all the resources required to make all these modern cars that are really built cheap, but they still use the same kind of resources to build them, we wouldn't need it. We could just maintain what we got. It's all driven by consumerism, not by the reality of needing to have a brand new car. It's just because we've got money to spend on cars and we love them. Well, some people do. So anyway, there's my rant over. I've still got the PPF on the front windscreen. I don't want to take it off. It's doing its job. It's doing its thing. It's a bit scuffed up now. It's well over its, it's supposed to be 12 months, I think, and we're like 18 months or something like that with it. But yeah, I'm keeping it on. Yeah, very impressed with that, actually. In terms of, it is a layer over that glass that is going to help you. It's not going to completely, we got one dot there. I think that's, oh no, that's not it. There is like a stone hit it hard. I can't find it, but I think it has saved it. Somewhere there's like a indent from a stone chip in this that may have just about kind of punctured it, but that glass screen, if I didn't have it, it might have just smashed it to bits. It's a big one. So I think they're quite good, actually, those glass PPFs. There is a little bit of, tiny bit of visual distortion, but you don't notice it. You notice it when you first put it on, but it settles down. And then after 3 or 4 months of having it there, you just don't notice it, you know. But if I don't drive the car for a month and I get in the car and drive it, I can see that I've got something on my front windscreen, you know. So there is that, but yeah, no, they're pretty cool. Yeah, so that is my E36 update. In terms of selling it, yeah, I'll never say never, but if I did sell it, I would never get another one like this, because the really nice E36s, you know, that are really well looked after and really well maintained, tend to be sold by dealerships that get them there, or, you know, they know that they're worth a few bob. And they tend to be now like 13, 14, 15, 16 grand, 17 grand. There's a couple of 328 sports out there, I think, for 17 grand, which is a lot of money. But it's more, you're paying for an immaculate example of something which is slightly more desirable. It's not an M car, but it's like the one down from the M car, and they're slightly rarer and they look lovely and they're great cars. So they're getting that kind of price point going up. But then again, you can go and find a rotten one will come up and it'll be like 4 or 5 grand. But I'm telling you now, you buy a rotten E36, you will throw 10 grand at it easily. Like for mechanicals and corrosion treatment and paintwork, you could throw 20 grand at them, which is ultimately what I've thrown at this over the last 4 or 5 years. I think in total it probably owes me over 20 grand. Sorry, so I haven't thrown 20 grand at it. I've thrown about 6 or 7 on mechanicals and about 6 on paintwork. But then the car was 6. So this car probably owes me about 20 to 22,000, probably even more when I think about all the things I've done and bought and brakes and all these other bills that I've had for things. So this car probably owes me 22, 23 grand. What would this car be worth? Well, some people tell me that they'd give me 5 grand for it, which is always the way. It would be worth a lot more than that. I don't know, because it's such an unusual thing. I think it's worth north of 10 grand. I guess as the seller, I could put it up for sale for what I think it's worth. And if it doesn't sell, then it doesn't sell. And I know you hear that a lot. Well, if it doesn't sell, I'm keeping it. That would be my kind of attitude towards it. If someone offered me a shed load of money, I might think, well, I'm not using it. I could get another E36 project later down the line. So yeah, I'm thinking somewhere between 10 and 12, and I'm thinking I'd probably put it up for sale for 12 grand. But yeah, looking at it, other people would think, well, it's done 150,000 miles. But that's about right for a 27-year-old car that's being used and being maintained. So yeah, I don't know, but it's not going up for sale anyway, so that's just speculation. But let me know. What I'm interested. What do you think it's worth? I think it's got to be north of 10 grand. It is like a nice an example you'll find, I think, with the exception of those like you know, 15, 16, 17 grand, low mileage, showroom condition. You know, they've done like 30,000 to 60,000 miles and they are really well maintained, maybe original paintwork. You do get those. They might be more desirable than this, but I think most people that were in the market for one that understand that they cost a lot, there's a lot to do on them, would probably value this north of 10 grand, I think. Don't know. Let me know what you think. Yeah, she's a beaut. She is a beaut. And it's too nice to mess around with. Part of me would almost say, sell this, and if another tatty E36 come along, and I've seen some tatty ones, there's a few tatty ones that kind of look quite kind of half decent, that were good projects, like in unusual colours, like Hellrot ones or stuff like that, or whatever, that you could actually coil over them, stiffen them all up, forget about, sort out any corrosion, get them up on a ramp, get all the corrosion treated underneath, do as much on the suspension as you can yourself so that they ride good and they sit good and there's no rattles, get the brakes upgraded, trap the hell out of it. The problem with this car, for me, is it does not drive like a Porsche. And some of the BMW fans will go nuts when they hear that. But it doesn't drive like a Porsche, even on coilovers with stiff suspension. It partly due to setup, you could get it more driving like a Porsche, but it's never going to feel like a sports car. It could feel like a stiff, well set up saloon that's got a nice engine. The stock M52 engine in there is a nice engine, but it's a floaty, revvy engine. It's not a torquey engine, and you've got to rag the hell out of it, but it's a bulletproof engine. I think an engine with more torque and a better ride, a more track orientated or race orientated, whatever, harder ride where you feel the road, a much faster rack and a better steering wheel, better short shifter on it, better seats, and an engine that delivers more torque with the revs. An S54 would be pretty epic, wouldn't it? But it's a bit out of character. But you know, maybe doing something to this engine, the M52, to develop more torque for the revs. I know people mess around with the cams on them, something like that. I don't know if you were going to track it. It would be it's the best thing about this car though is the fundamental balance of the chassis is really good. It's really fun because it's not too grippy. The tyres aren't too wide, but you could go with a wider tyre track on it if you wanted to really get more grip and more cornering speed and more aggressive kind of thing. They would make great track cars actually. I see them quite often as track cars. When they're done properly as a track car, they go well, even if they're not the most fastest thing in a straight line on the circuit. Although I've seen a few that are really rapid as well. So there we are with the E36. What a phenomenal car. I'll probably end up keeping it for life. Just need to use it more. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. What's your modern classic in your garage? So I know I've got a few people that have got these that follow the channel. A lot of BMW fans follow the channel, E46 fans, all that sort of stuff. What's your modern dream classic that really that you really love? Part of it is whatever's in your garage you tend to fall in love with because you learn all of its little charms. So like I could have all sorts of cars in here that instead of this, some Jap stuff, you know, other German marks, you know, but it's of this era, it's of that sort of turn of the millennium era or just before it, the late 90s, where I think they were making some great cars, and they were still like figuring out how to get that performance and power in them, but the styling was good and the fundamental kind of build quality was good. They weren't trying. Nowadays they figured out every surface that's in the cockpit of the car. They figured out how to make a cheap plastic version of it that they can finish to feel a bit better. But everything you can feel in modern cars is cheap, whereas all of the componentry we get in this car, well, not all of it, there's some bits that aren't great. The door card design is poor, you know, ripping the pockets out. But fundamentally, like with these BMWs, even on the Porsche, all this is so cheap and it all breaks. But everything kind of tends to work. I know these they can lose a little bit of their tightness there, but I think that's okay. But all these buttons, none of them are like made of that cheap gummy sort of surface that melts in the summer and all comes off. You get that on the Porsches. All the buttons of the stereo come off, so you have to go and buy new buttons because they're just not well made. All of this painted surface, none of it's worn off, even on the indicator. You never use them. None of these buttons are any worse than they were when this car came out the factory. And like all of this stuff here, it's all apart from the steering wheel, which just got worn, but you know, even the console, everything is just really solid, like, all original. Crazy, everything's original. I do need a set of floor mats. These I found on eBay, and they were beige floor mats, original 328 coupe beige mats, but they turned up and they're not beige. I did some research. There was some like limited kind of alternative colours, and I can't remember what this was, but it's not the same colour. And I have not, for the life of me, been able to find an original set of BMW E36 beige mats. And when I talked about this years ago, I had recommendations. Someone said, go and buy the mats from here. They're high quality. I went and bought them. They were terrible. So I sent them back, got a refund. Someone else recommended a set about 2 or 3 years ago. Tried them. Terrible quality, awful, sent them back, got a refund. Stick with these. Yeah, so my experience of aftermarket beige E36 replacement mats has been that all the ones I've been told are amazing are so bad. You know, I can't buy a new set of mats that are meant to be high quality and the underneath of them is shedding all rubber like it's been made in China from coated with mashed up car tyres that have been through a grinder and sprayed on there. I need something good. Like, I want something really good if I'm paying like good money for premium mats. So yeah, so if you do know of any proper premium, like proper, and the fitment's good and the stitching's good and it's not all cowboy Mickey Mouse stuff, let me know and I'll try them. And if you're wrong, I will hunt you down. I will kill you. It's got to be good. Yeah, those original ones are okay. They're all right. I've just been living with them. So yeah, I should really put that on the list. I am also looking for beige pockets, but they never come up. I've got grey pockets in there, but you can get away with it. Mats. Yeah. I can't remember if there's any other jobs. There probably is. It can, in heavy traffic, overheat and then it suddenly releases. So I think it might just be a sticky thermostat, but it hasn't happened for like a year and a half, so it runs fine. But that might be a problem developing somewhere in the pipeline. Thanks for watching. I'll end it here. Bye for now.